and welcome. So, standard English. We have the other video on boundaries. We have this one on form, structure, and sense, which means grammar, basically, like not punctuation, but all of the other stuff. So, hopefully, you've already worked through this on your own. If not, please pause the video, go work through these 10 questions, return when you're ready. Okay. Yeah, so let's talk about form, structure, and sense. One of the major types of questions you'll run into here involves verbs, and that's the focus of this video. We may have another video on other things later, okay? So verbs, yay. As you might remember, if you've seen the other video, my advice was that you should always start when you're dealing with the standard English questions by asking yourself, what is changing in the answer choices? Well, what do you notice changing here? You don't have to worry about fancy terms. Many of my students struggle to say conjugate, temporality, tense, and then they feel very tense. It's a terrible joke. Okay, anyway, dad jokes of the day, I guess. Anyway, make your life easier. What you should do is tell yourself that verbs are changing. That's it, verbs. Most of the time, when verbs are changing, you need to do exactly and only one thing: find the subject. That will usually solve it. And if not, that will at least move you along here. So who or what is the subject? Well, let's see here. Apparently, it is California native and researcher Ellen Ochoa. And then we do have a verb here, right? We do have a main verb here. She left her position, as chief of this thing at this place. So if we have already a subject and a main verb, we don't want another main verb, like joins or joined or is joining. We could only have a helping verb. Does this make sense? She left her position to join this other thing. Makes sense. Cool. What is changing? Verbs are changing. Let's go find the subject. Who or what is reaching? This is interesting. Sometimes I have people say sugars, other times people say ribose, other times people say whatever. So the actual subject is this: simple sugars. So when they say such as this singular thing and also this singular thing, they're trying to mess with your head. Because, do you agree? Not that I can pronounce that, but do you agree that that singular thing, glycolaldehyde, I guess, it's not that bad, okay, if you're thinking of glycolaldehyde, you can be like, oh yeah, glycolaldehyde will reach or had reached, might sound okay. But we need a plural, right? We need something plural, simple sugars. Now this is interesting because now if you say simple sugars reach, okay, simple sugars had reached, will reach, are reaching. Okay, well now they all work. Boo. So once that happens, once you put the subject and the verb together and eliminated what you can, you might have to look elsewhere in the sentence for clues. For example, the other verbs. If simple sugars blank earth from elsewhere and survived impact. Oh, past tense. So do we want the present? No. Do we want this past? Maybe. We'll keep it for now. Do we want the future? Absolutely not. Do we want the present progressive? Absolutely not. It's B. We're done. Exciting, right? So when verbs are changing, first go look for the subject. If that doesn't solve it, look at the other verb tenses. Look at what time it is in the passage, basically. Verbs are changing. Where's the subject? All right. Apparently, and by the way, the fun thing is initially, because the sentence with the blank is later on, you don't even need to read this sentence. You don't need to read this sentence at all. You don't need to read this sentence at all. Cool, huh? All right, let's see, where's the subject? This equation, comma, named for its creator, comma. So we would definitely expect to have a verb here, right? How does this sound to you all? The equation have remained. Ew. The equation remain. Ew. The equation remains. Yeah, sure. The equation are remaining. Ew. So we never had to look at this either. Take a look at how incredibly little we actually had to do. Good times. You see, we want to save you time on the standard English so that you can have more time for the more difficult questions that come later. All right. So verbs are changing. Where's the subject? Let's see. So Fourier's design, there's one subject, greatly increased something, the amount of electricity. That, okay, we're having a new phrase entering now. So a new phrase is relevant. So it's increasing the amount of electricity that the original battery, new subject, that the original battery, comma, oh yeah. Then we have a little side quest, and then we have could hold. So that's a complete idea. So now we have to really just keep our eyes focused on this piece right here and nothing else, basically. All right, but to get it in context, Fourier's design greatly increased the amount of electricity that the original battery, which the French physicist Gaston Planté blank 15 years earlier. All right, we need a verb, and it did say earlier. So how are you feeling about is inventing? What? Will invent in the future? Invents in the present? Are you kidding? It must be D. Cool. Past. 15 years earlier. There's a huge clue. All right, let's see. Verbs are changing. Let's go find the subject. How many of you noticed that the subject is probably Lincoln, right? Somebody's noting that Lincoln has leveraged, maybe. Lincoln is leveraging. Lincoln will leverage, Lincoln leveraged. Okay, hold on. Wait, what's going on here? All right. After winning this election, he appointed in the past these people to the cabinet. His decision was surprising in the past, since each of these men had run against him, even further in the past. Fine, had run against him. But historians have praised it. Note, okay, so historians have praised it. They're in like one time zone, the have praised, the two words. But Lincoln himself is using one single word, appointed. Something was surprising. So if Lincoln appointed and we have one word, not two, ideally we want one word for the past, like Lincoln leveraged, not Lincoln has leveraged, is leveraging. I mean, these don't even make sense at all. This is the present, this is the future. You might have been like, well, hold on. Why not Lincoln has leveraged or Lincoln leveraged? The idea is if your subject is matched with a one word simple past, make sure that your subject stays matched with a one word simple past, okay? It's that easy. All right, let's see, verbs. And what exactly is the subject? I think it's one species, comma, the silverleaf sunflower, comma. So the silverleaf sunflower is like little extra info. Subject is actually one species. How do we feel about speaking about one species having included? That's disturbing, but maybe we'd have to read further just to make sure. Let's see here. How about one species including? It's equally disturbing. One species to include. That sounds really terrible. I'm going to go ahead and do that. What about one species includes? Sounds good, but we need to read the rest. You can't ever just decide. You have to read the rest. So let's try D, because D sounded the best so far. One species includes both this ectype that tends to grow here and an ectype that grows here. That sounds fine. If we had run into something strange that disqualified D, we would then have to figure out what's going on with the rest. But this perfectly works, right? One species, there's your subject, includes, there's your verb. Yay. Fun. Here we go. What exactly is the subject of this? Who or what is focusing? This is a tricky one. Notice that the subject is actually, I mean, you could say that the full subject is each one of these plays, but really the subject is each one. One focuses. That sounds okay. One focus. That sounds terrible. One are focused. No. One were focused. No, it's A. The trap here is Notice how it says each one of these plays, plural plays. Do you agree that you could say, yeah, you know what, plays focus, or plays are focused, or plays were focused? Yes, they were. Yes, they are. Yes, they do. But the subject is not that. The subject is each one. Each one focuses. Yes, it does. By the way, the highlighting I'm doing, you can do this on the PSAT as well, and on the SAT with the same colors, right? There's blue, pink, and yellow. All right. Subject. Where's our subject? A second generation Japanese American, comma, Wataru Misaka. There's our subject. Already served in World War II. Was already serving in World War II. Could be, I don't know. Already serves in World War II. Okay, that's definitely wrong because that's the present. Had already served in World War II. Okay, so 3 of them are the past. So this isn't as easy. We have to think further. Here's the thing, though. It does say Misaka did something in World War II. And then it says, and won. Okay, so there's that. And won 2 amateur national basketball championships with Utah when he joined. Okay, now let's think about this. When he joined the New York Knicks for the 47-48 season. Okay, here's what's happening here. This is a little more complex. Let's do a timeline. We're going to have, like right now, the moment where you and I are reading the sentence. This is the present. This passage clearly is taking us back first to, well, not first, but, the most recent thing would be the 1947-1948 season when he joined. Okay. So here we are now in the present saying that in 47-48 he joined. Notice that this is a simple past, meaning it's one single word, just the word joined. The passage tells us that something else happened earlier. The 1941 to 45 period, right? So here's the thing. Whenever you get the past of the past, you're always going to have the word had with some other words. So A doesn't have it and B doesn't have it and D does and is the answer. Had served. So instead of calling this the simple past, meaning it's one word, so it makes it simple, it's one word, it's now a more complex past. Had served. Okay. Does that make, I hope that makes sense to you all. That is, if you get one layer in time in the past, boom, but then there's another layer, the past of the past, you're going to switch from saying joined or the simple past, the one word thing, to something like this: had served. It's called the past perfect, or plusquamperfekt if you speak German, or French, plusquamperfekt. Something similar in Spanish, I think. Other languages have it too, I'm sure. Okay. So that one was a little extra special, right? But that's how that one goes. All right. Let's see. Verbs are changing. Let's see what's going on here. Initially, it looks like the subject would be these spherical bits of glass. And these things form when, new subject, asteroids collide. New subject, new verb. When asteroids collide with the planet. Ejecting, what are they ejecting now? Bits of molten rock into the atmosphere. That, after cooling and solidifying into glass, so the bits of molten rock, after cooling and solidifying, they do something, right? They do something. What are they doing? Bits of molten rock to rain. Huh? What? No. Bits of molten rock raining. No, we need an active verb. Having bits of molten rock having rained. What? Bits of molten rock that rain back onto the surface. Yeah, we need a main verb here. Okay. I say main verb. You could also call it a conjugated verb, whatever. Notice that all of the others either have an ing, or a to in front. They are all what you might call helping verbs. They're fine if you have a subject and a main verb. then you can also have a helping verb, but not alone. Okay. All right. Who or what is our subject here? It is, I may not pronounce this right because I'm not sure what to do with the dotted under the H, etc. But anyway, Nuhad al-Haddad, known as Fairuz. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Was one of the most beloved Lebanese singers. Oh, I didn't need to read that anyway. Okay, fine. So the next subject would be her broad singing repertoire. Okay, her repertoire. Then there's a long dash, meaning there's a big side quest. Tells us some extra information about which included all this other stuff. But then the verb would be this. Okay, so we've got her repertoire lent her a timeless cross-generational appeal. Okay, that sounds like a complete sentence now, actually. Comma, and then there's a verb apparently, but there's no subject. There's no extra subject. So we already have a subject, her repertoire. We already have a main verb, lent her this appeal. So the only thing we could possibly have in the blank would be a helping verb. Earned is a main verb. Had earned is a main verb. Earn is a main verb. And remember, if it ends with ing, it might be a helping verb. Yeah. So her repertoire lent her cross-generational appeal, earning her the moniker, the soul of Lebanon. Cool. All right. Well, I hope after these two videos, if you haven't seen the other one, go check it out. Boundaries and form, structure, and sense. Focus on verbs. Hope you're feeling better about standard English. Go to the College Board's website and practice more. And if you need further help, you know where to reach me. Good luck, everyone.